What up guys, it's Sam from Sisters at Heart. Today I'll be showcasing an interview that I conducted with Melissa, otherwise known as Curvy Cotton Candy Main on Instagram. This interview kind of covers the insecurities that she has and how she has overcome them by using her amazing and inspirational Instagram page. So you should definitely check her out at Curvy Cotton Candy Main. This interview also covers other topics like feminism, sexual violence, and how she deals with hate. It'll be super helpful for girls and guys out there who have trouble and with confidence issues and struggling with loving yourself. This would really help you out. And lastly, as this is my first time conducting an interview, hope that you're forgiving and support us all the way. So without further ado, let's get on to the video.
Okay, so the first question is, name one experience that made you feel gratified for starting your Instagram page.
Okay. So there are obviously tons of things that I could say. Every time I get a message on Instagram just saying that I've helped them in any way where they felt comfortable to go swimming with their friends or any little thing, or they're just thanking me for being present and posting, that means the world to me. That motivates me to keep going. But I think probably one of the most gratifying experiences that I ever had was talking with one of my younger brothers. It was probably about a year ago, and so it was probably about a year into this account that I had started, and I didn't even know that my brother even knew about this account. Like, I kind of kept it secret. I knew my sisters knew and things, but he called me on the phone, and he was asking me if I would marry him and his girlfriend at the time, if I would like officiate their wedding, which was so cool. And I was so excited about that. But then he just kept talking to me, and he said that he knew about this body positive account that I had started and how proud he was and how he just was like so proud of me and like was bragging to his friends and like, this is my sister and like, it's so cool that she's doing this. And now he had always thought I was beautiful, but he was so grateful that I could see that in myself now. And that was so important to me. That was such a huge deal to hear that from my brother.
Because he's someone important to you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, actually, how many years younger is he? Is he much younger than you, or just?
About 6 years, I think. About 6 years younger than me.
Oh, so you married him and his wife, is it?
I didn't. So yeah, it's kind of crazy, but he actually ended up passing away before they could get married, which I think makes it even more meaningful to me that I had that conversation with him before he died. Just knowing that he was like really proud of me and really grateful before that happened.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I think that really is a great experience to remember. If other people actually hear about this, I think they'll understand more why you do what you do. And
yeah, it motivates me to keep going for sure.
Yeah, thanks so much for for answering that.
Yeah, of course.
And for sharing that very intimate memory of yourself. Thank you.
Yeah.
Many girls feel insecure about their bodies. So how long did it take for you to feel okay with putting pictures of your body on such a public platform?
It took me forever. Like, I didn't even start posting until I was 29. I was almost 30 years old when I started this account. And I mean, obviously when I was younger, Instagram didn't exist and social media didn't even really exist like it does today. But even when it was kind of becoming a more popular thing, I was still not comfortable with myself or with posting pictures of myself really more than just my face. I didn't want to show off my body. It took me a really, really long time to get comfortable with showing that in such a public space as Instagram. It's helped me tremendously, but it really did take me a long time to finally feel comfortable with that. And at first it was just for me. Like, I didn't even really care if other people saw it, it was just so I could help myself get over those own hurdles that I was facing.
So it was more of a process than an event that sort of triggered you to start doing it?
There were kind of reasons, I guess, leading up to like starting this account. And I had gone through a lot of different changes in my life, and I was following a couple of different people that were doing body positive stuff. And I was like, you know what? If they can do this and they can love their bodies and they look like me, like I can do this and I can learn to love my body. And it just kind of happened at this perfect time in my life where I had moved states and had gone through a couple of different changes. And I said, I just want to start. And it just started with posting like plus size fashion really at first, more of like clothes I was wearing, outfits I was wearing every day. And then it evolved more into the more body positive stuff where I felt more comfortable showing a little bit more of myself than I had before.
I think that's really great what you do.
Thank you.
Was putting yourself out there, unfiltered, an outlet for you to overcome your insecurities? I think you sort of covered that, right? It's because you wanted to go a bit out of your comfort zone to feel more comfortable in your own skin. That's why you started doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was also because there were many other people in the community that had done this before. That's why you feel not so alone in this, and you wouldn't mind joining this community and contributing to it, right?
Absolutely, 100%. So it was just like before, like growing up, I had always felt like totally abnormal, and I just thought like nobody else has stretch marks like me, and nobody else has this cellulite like I have, and nobody else has these fat rolls that I have. Like I really genuinely felt so alone, like I was the only human on earth that looked like this, because I had never really seen anyone else that did look like me. And so when I started seeing these other accounts and seeing these other people and being like, wow, like I'm not alone. I'm not abnormal. I'm actually quite normal. And there's all these people that look like me, and it helped me overcome my own insecurities so much. And then I was thinking, on top of that, wouldn't that be great if I could help other people overcome their insecurities by seeing me and being like, oh, wow, like she looks how I look, and we can all just form this community, which we formed, which I think is a beautiful thing.
Did you ever feel like you should look a certain way, and why? And maybe this is sort of at the start, before you started posting. What sort of insecurities about your body that you had? How did you slowly overcome it? How long did it take for that to happen?
Yeah, so my whole life, I always felt I was meant to look a certain way, and it wasn't the way that I looked. And so it was really difficult for me. And so I think for me, it was kind of a compounded issue because I obviously had the popular image that I was seeing in the media of, you know, the women in the magazines and the women in movies and the women on billboards and things that obviously were photoshopped, and that's all that I saw. And so I always thought that's how I was meant to look. I needed to look like that. And I was so far from that image that it just seemed almost impossible that I could ever look like that. And there was also, I was raised in a very religious family, and in the church that I grew up in, you know, we were told how to dress, we were told how to look, we were told what we could do with our bodies and what we couldn't do with our bodies. And it was very strict and hard for me because I didn't look like this ideal of kind of what the church culture perpetuated and said what women should look like. And so I always felt kind of distanced within my church community also because I didn't fit the mold of like what most of the women in the church looked like. And so it was like this double thing to me where I felt like I don't look how I'm supposed to look for women in the world. I don't look what I'm supposed to look like for women in this church that I grew up in. And so I felt very ostracized all the time. It felt like I always looked wrong, you know, and that was difficult.
I think it's really, really important to be in an environment that constantly encourages you and pushes you to be confident in yourself. I think sometimes also in the media, the way we see women portrayed in movies, in television and everything, sometimes it's not really how it should be, even in social media. I think because this body positivity community was only evolved recently, right? That's why maybe before that, the things that other people were posting were how would I put this? Best version of themselves, like the best angle that they could take a photo of themselves in. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think it's because of how this community has evolved. You guys have kind of helped many girls overcome this because they realize that, oh, actually, having stretch marks and cellulite is like a natural thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely what, the goal is, just to help everyone feel normal and not so alone, you know, see real bodies instead of perfect Photoshopped bodies all the time.
Have you ever experienced hate or body shaming on your Instagram page? And if so, how do you deal with them? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. Almost every day I'm deleting something that someone has posted that, some troll that's saying who knows what stupid thing. So yeah, I get it all the time. And I would say for me, 99 out of 100 times, I just block the person and delete the thing, whatever they said, and move on and try not to think about it or let it get to me. So I very, very rarely respond to these people or even do anything with it, because that's what they want. Is they want attention and they want to know that they've upset you or ruined your day or whatever their goal is. The few times that I have responded, it's typically when it's like a woman that posts. For some reason, it offends me so much more when it's a woman hating on me than when it's a man hating on me, because I just think it's so absurd, like woman on woman hate, when we should all just be supporting each other and trying to get through this difficult thing. And we should be, like so excited to praise women and help women instead of tearing them down. So the few people that I have responded to have been women, and I don't ever respond maliciously or angrily. It's more just like saying, as much as I can, if they would even listen, trying to educate them in any way to open their eyes to what they're doing, which probably never works, but it's worth a shot. So
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a really
typically I do nothing.
Yeah. I think that's a really good way to deal with haters, because I think many a times they are the main reason that people feel insecure when they post things up. Many girls sort of just face this fear of trolls or haters commenting terrible things, especially when it's about their physical appearance. It's really awesome the way you deal with them. Sometimes I think it's definitely something that is inevitable when you post something online, especially when you have such a huge following.
Right.
There'll definitely be haters, and like the way you deal with them, especially when you deal with the woman, by educating them is it says so much about being a bigger person. That's what I feel body positivity and feminism actually is about educating those people who have this hate inside them. It's more of spreading love rather than hating the other party. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it makes me more sad for them as a person than it does for me, because I'm just thinking, like, they're so filled with hate, probably for themselves and for other people, that they're just wasting their time commenting hateful things on other people's social media,
Yeah.
which like is absurd. I would never in a million years do that. And so I just think they have a sad life and I have an awesome life, so I feel bad for them for doing that in the first place. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think it's awesome how you deal with them, and I think that a lot of young girls nowadays can actually listen to your advice. And I think, yeah, this is really great
You
advice.
have to let it roll off your back. Like, you can't let it get to you or it'll just eat you up inside. And you have to understand why they're doing it. They don't know you. They don't care about you. They're just trying to be a jerk. So don't give them the satisfaction of letting it ruin your day or whatever.
Especially when I was trying to think of what sort of advice I could give to girls who are following my page. Like, the initial advice that I posted was to surround yourself with people that never make you feel insecure about yourself. But sometimes you can come into a situation where someone who, let's say, you've been friends with for a long time, who you trust, accidentally says things that make you feel a bit insecure about yourself. But it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that they are a bad person. So will you let it affect you, or would you confront that person? What would you do?
I have, so like, I've definitely had some family members that have, like, when they
Yeah.
found out about this account, haven't been really positive or excited about it. Um, Mostly because they're all religious
So they're more
and
conservative, is it?
they're more conservative and they don't agree with, showing off your body or whatever in that kind of way. So I have had some hurtful things said to me by people close to me. And, of course, it's harder when it's somebody that you love and it's someone that you know. Obviously, like, the good, mature thing to do would be to explain why that's hurtful to you and try and explain, like, the reasons why I'm doing it. I think a lot of the issues is that some of my family members probably think I'm just doing it to, like, be salacious or like sexy or whatever, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it for the attention of men or anything like that. It's for me and it's for other women, and that's it, period. So the healthy way to go about it would be to be like explaining the reasons behind it and having a good discussion about it instead of what I've done, which is just like stewing and being mad at them, isn't helpful at all. So
I totally understand how you feel, because at the end of the day, right, this is your family and you don't want to be quarreling over differences or anything. At the end of the day, right, this is sort of a lesson that you can never really make everyone happy, but
oh, definitely.
yeah, but how you deal with it, how each person deals with it, it's on a case by case basis. It's how you choose to deal with it as a person, and your relationship with that family member, how important it is to you. It's definitely alright. Like, no one's perfect. How you deal with it is
Right.
how you deal with it. Yeah.
And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, like, you can't make everybody happy. And at the end of the day, I think it's about making yourself happy. And you have to live with you. So whatever you need to do for yourself to be happy, I think comes first over family members or whoever else trying to make them happy all the time.
Yeah, I think
So
that's a really, really good message. And I think that's main point, like the main point that many, many
yes,
people need to hear.
agreed.
Moving on, what is a personality trait that you value the most? Like, this is sort of just a relaxed question, just to.
Okay. um, I think something that I really value in myself is I feel like I'm a really empathetic person, and that I've always naturally been that way. Just I've always naturally felt drawn to those who maybe need more help than others. And probably because I felt like I was one of those people who was kind of an outcast in some kind of way. So I look for those who maybe feel like they're ostracized for whatever reason, who need a listening ear and someone to just love them and accept them how they are and not judge them for any reason whatsoever. And so I feel like I've always been a good person at doing that, befriending people, loving people exactly how they are, not expecting people to change for whatever reason, and just listening to them, making them feel accepted and loved.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
a good trait to value, because many times in today's world, being empathetic is like a really important skill to have. Because
Yeah.
honestly, I think to survive in the working world, in the outside world, being empathetic is the way to go, because it helps you in forming solid human connections with people. Yeah.
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
think, like you mentioned in your questionnaire also, that being kind is sort of like a philosophy of yours. I think that's really awesome. You have shown that you are following that, you're going in that direction through your page. And I think that's really,
Thank
really awesome. And I think, like, the way that each of you guys actually reply to each and every person who comments on your post is, first and foremost, giving each of your followers personal attention. I think that's really awesome. Yeah, and
Thank
really
you.
understanding everyone's story, every comment, living through it. I think that's admirable and awesome.
Thank you. I try really hard to
Yeah, I know it's hard,
respond
especially
to
when you get so
everyone.
many comments, right? Yeah.
I do try my best. But so thank you for noticing that. That's really sweet.
Okay. Actually, any other personality traits that you like? This is just like an off tangent question, or maybe in a partner, what sort of personality trait do you actually look for? Sometimes for a person that you're gonna spend like the rest of your life with, what is one trait that you hope to live with for the rest of your life?
So I've noticed like over the years with different guys that I've dated and stuff, something that is hugely important to me is someone, I don't know if it's necessarily like a personality trait, but just someone who is like-minded, like someone who believes the same as me politically or has the same social
Values.
views, the same values. That's so important to me. That's like now on like so right now I'm single and like on any dating site I'm on or anything, like my first thing on everything is like, okay, if you don't agree with this or you voted for this person or whatever, like we're not a match, or if you're like this and this and this, we're a match. And that's like almost my number one thing now is I just want someone who values the same things as I do and who sees the world in the same way that I do. And that's probably the biggest thing to me right now, because I've dated guys before who don't see things the same way as I do, and that's probably what I get in the most arguments about, you know. So that's too difficult for me.
This was quite a an off tangent discussion
Oh, that's all
question.
right. It's totally
Okay.
fine.
So the next question is, did you ever imagine getting to where you are today? And how does your progress make you feel?
I never really imagined it because when I was younger, I guess I always thought like when I would think about the future, there were like these two options that I thought. So one, I thought I'll probably just be fat and miserable forever. So I thought that was like one option. I would stay fat and I'd be miserable. Or I thought I would lose a bunch of weight and then I would be happy and my life would be perfect. So I thought like either one of those things is going to happen. So I never really thought that there was this third option where I would stay fat but still find happiness. And I didn't know that that was a possibility because it had never been presented to me ever in my entire life. Like everything on TV or whatever, if there was a fat person, like their life sucked, right? And they were miserable and their whole life's mission was losing weight. So I thought like, okay, that's what I have to do because I'm fat. So I have to constantly be trying to lose weight and I have to be upset and I have to hate myself. I didn't know that it was even a possibility that I wouldn't have to kill myself trying to lose weight. I could just be how I am and look how I am and still find happiness within myself and still love myself exactly the way that I am. So, you know, I didn't know that this was a possibility for me to get to this point where I felt this way.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's the mindset that many young girls today actually have. Like, it's constantly being like perpetuated by many things around them, by social media,
Mm-hmm.
by TV. But I
That's why I
think
think it's so important for younger women to see women like me or other women who are happy and content in living life, and their whole life's purpose isn't just constantly trying to lose weight or to lose a pant size or whatever, you know, because I never saw that when I was younger.
yeah,
So
exactly.
hopefully these girls can see that and realize, oh, I can be happy and I can love myself.
What do you wish you could tell yourself 10 years ago? And
Hmm.
what do you think you'll want to tell your current self 10 years from now? Yeah, and this
Okay.
can be about anything, not just like the topic that we're discussing now. It can be anything.
Okay. Okay. So what I wish I could have told myself 10 years ago. I could have saved myself a lot of heartache 10 years ago if I would have known that I could just be happy and accept myself and not worry about my body so much. I think 10 years ago, probably almost every passing thought was just about my body, my body. I would go to sleep at night just being like, why am I fat? Why can't I lose weight? Why do I look this way? And I would just cry myself to sleep all the time. And I would keep myself from experiencing so many things in life because I just was so insecure. So my friends would go swimming, or they would, any activity that I just didn't feel like comfortable doing in my body, I wouldn't do it, and I would make up some excuse. And I didn't really date at all. Not that dating guys is the most important thing, but I just like kept myself back in this little bubble just because I felt that's what I deserved. I didn't know that I could do those things. So I just wish that I could tell myself 10 years ago that, like, hey, even though you're fat right now, like, you're still awesome and you can do anything you want to do, and just go live life and be happy and don't hold yourself back because of your weight or your body. So, yeah. For 10 years from now, looking back on today, I think I would just tell myself, like, keep going. You're doing really good. You know, things are only going to get better from here, and just enjoy every day of your life. And of course, I still have insecurities. I still have those voices in my head that come up every now and then saying, like, oh, maybe you shouldn't go swimming today. Maybe you shouldn't do this. Oh, you look really bad tonight, whatever. So of course I still have things that I need to work on.
Actually, I think what you mentioned is really true. When you obsess too much over one thing, you kind of are missing out on like the rest of the joys that life has to bring. You don't have to waste your time thinking about all these things that you'll realize later on that are not as important. Yeah, things like your relationships with family, friends, and like the goals that you want to achieve in life. If you keep on obsessing over your physical appearance, size, or anything like that, you'll be missing out on many other things that you can do. Something that I realized as I was growing up was that insecurities that I had sort of just went away when I actually wasn't focusing on them. It's like,
Exactly.
yeah, it's like when I was younger, I had really bad skin, but I realized that after that it was because I changed my entire lifestyle to be a healthier one, and that's how it got better. Instead of me constantly focusing on why it wasn't working, why am I still looking this way, and I think it can be sort of applied to everything in life, really.
Right.
If you have a flaw, don't focus on it, but just keep going on, and
Right.
and like focus on maybe the goals and like the positive things that you want to achieve. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think so often, like, the things that we focus on about ourselves, like, other people don't even necessarily even notice those things.
Mm.
Like, I remember so often younger, like, when I had like skin problems and I had zits and different things, I'd be like, oh, I can't even like go to this thing or whatever today because like everyone's gonna notice my zits. But like people don't even notice that, because
Yeah,
most of the
exactly.
times people are so wrapped up in their own heads that they don't even really notice things on other people.
Yeah.
So like most of the times the things that we're so worried about like are often non-issues for other people. Like they don't care, you know,
Yeah.
as much as we think they will. They
Yeah,
don't.
in fact, even on like Instagram, it's like sometimes it's like when you're posting a picture and you see like a small like problem that you think that people will zoom in on, like usually it goes unnoticed. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, like it doesn't really matter, and people just see the entire picture as it is, not small flaws that you have. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I think it's so true what you said. Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Mhm.
Okay, so as an intersectional feminist yourself, what do you think is another equally pertinent issue that women face today?
I was thinking a lot about this one, and it's hard to like pinpoint one other thing because I feel like there's so many issues. Okay, one thing that I did focus on that I think is another thing that I'm really passionate about is, and I don't know what it's like in other parts of the world. I'm assuming it's probably pretty similar to how it is in the States, but we have a terrible problem with sexual assault here, and rape culture is really, really bad here in the US, and I'm assuming in other parts of the world as well, where women just aren't listened to and they're often not believed
And they can
when they
never
come.
feel safe about,
They can't
yeah.
feel safe, like going out, doing anything. They'll be blamed, they'll be shamed if they do come forward. And most women who do experience some kind of a sexual assault never report it because they know they won't be believed, they'll be blamed. All of these things will, reflect badly upon them. So most of the time they don't report. And then the women that do report sexual assault, a huge majority of the men are, nothing ever even happens to them. They all walk free. So it's just kind of this, like, why even report? Why go through all the trouble of it when nothing even is going to happen? And it's terrible here with some women who report, especially against men of any kind of stature, like football players or any kind of celebrity. If they have these allegations of sexual assault against them, like, the women who report are just demonized and they are just bashed and they are called terrible names and they have death threats against them. And, people just rail against these women who have done nothing wrong, but all the blame is put on them and nothing happens to the men. And they just, you know, get away with it. Even the president of our country has been accused of tons of sexual assaults and he became the president. Like, nothing ever happens to these men, but terrible things happen to the women who report. And so it's just this terrible culture that I don't know how we can fix, but that needs fixing.
Yeah. I think this really goes to show how deeply embedded gender inequality is in the world today. Yeah. Like the way women have to feel ashamed for when they are the victims is
Yeah.
it's something that is really, really terrible. And I think that like a large part also has to do with how society sees it. Women would feel this way because it's the social construct to sort of demonize this woman, even in cases when it is clearly the men's fault. Women are
Mm-hmm.
seen as easy or cheap because they allow it or they consent it, but
Right.
that definitely isn't the case. This is really something that needs fixing. It is quite a thing in US. Sometimes it can be even more serious in many different countries. Like in India, gang rape is normalized. Sometimes when women are the ones that are blatantly the victims of gang rape, like they are the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are prosecuted. Or gender inequality in other countries, third world countries, let's say, I think it's usually more serious there. But I think definitely there are steps that have to be taken, even in first world countries like US. You've evolved for such a long time and you still can't seem to can't seem to
Right.
even
There's
like
still
grasp a simple
problems.
concept of equality. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I
Okay.
think a lot of it has to do with, like, and I feel like it is getting better now for the younger generations, but just more education on what is consent. Like, what does that actually look like? And that was something that we were never taught in school. My parents never talked about that with me or my brothers or my sisters. Like, so I feel like there was always kind of this gray area where if consent wasn't explained clearly, like, this is what it means to consent to sexual activity, or this is not consent, that it was kind of gray. It wasn't always so cut and dry, but I feel like we're trying to educate the younger generations now. So there's like zero excuses. Like, you can't say, oh, I didn't know that was rape or something, when they are educated on this is consent to sexual activity and this is not. Like, if they are incapacitated in any way, like, they can't consent. If they're drunk or they're passed out or whatever, like, they cannot consent. And there are all these different things. If we make it super clear, then it's easier to prosecute when those crimes are committed, when they know very clearly what is legal and what is illegal. Then, and hopefully the punishments will become harsher and will be actually enforced on the people who are committing these crimes.
Yeah, actually, I think what you said is really true. In fact, I think educating like the younger generation today is so important because because these are things that have to be taught since young and have to be inculcated in their mindset since young. It has also been going around quite a lot that usually the reason why men would even rape is because of the way women dress. They dress too skimpily or they wear sexy outfits.
Just blaming the woman, saying, well, it's your fault, you were wearing a skirt, so you got raped. Like, no, the man that raped you is at fault. Like, it's not the woman's fault that happened, regardless of what they're wearing. You know, it's absurd, but like, of course, that idea is still so persistent in our culture that, well, she was wearing this tight, small dress, so what do you expect? I'm like, they can still be respected and taken seriously regardless of what they're wearing. That has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, which is why I feel that feminism, there's not only females that have to take action. It's true that we have to spread the message to make other women feel more empowered to speak up for themselves. But I think men also have to change.
Absolutely.
Like we have to meet in the middle, not just women moving.
Absolutely. And I think it's more powerful even when it comes from a man. If a man is educating other men on women's issues, that's more powerful, I think, you know, because
like the message will like hit the young boys harder because it's from someone who they will grow up to become also.
Yeah.
Looking at issues like body shaming in media today, do you think that championing body positivity contributes to a larger cause that is feminism?
Yeah, absolutely. What is feminism? It's just wanting equality for everybody, right? And so body positivity plays a huge role into that because before, there isn't equality for all different body types. There's this one type of body type that's praised in our culture, and other body types are mocked and looked down upon, and they're not considered equal, and they're not considered okay. And so I think that's a huge part of feminism. And I think, kind of going back to what we were talking about before, another huge part of it is just allowing people the space to wear what they want to wear, be who they want to be, act how they want to act, and accept all of it, and not just say, this one type of dress is okay, this is too provocative, or this is too covered, or this is whatever. Because women are shamed on both ends. Women are shamed for dressing in a skimpy way, not wearing enough. Women are shamed for covering head to toe, wearing hijab and different things like that. Women are shamed for that. So, we have to just allow women and men to just dress how they want, give people space to live how they want to live, and realize that whatever makes somebody happy is what makes them happy, and we should be happy that they're living their best life instead of trying to shame them or change them in any kind of way.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, right, it's really all about being equal rather than women coming on too strong and say, men can't do this, but then women can. Like a call to have equality so that women can wear whatever they want and express themselves like however they wish to.
Right.
Yeah, and I think a reason why today also feminism really has quite a bad reputation in media today, precisely because many people still think that it's women against men, but it's actually just women standing up for themselves and standing up for their beliefs and like their race, their ethnicity, their sexuality, and their bodies. I think it's just women standing up to be considered on equal ground with men in all these different aspects.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of hard for a lot of people to accept because for the entire history of the world, women have been silenced and women have been ignored and women have been underrepresented in government and in almost any leadership position that there is. And so I think it's hard for people to realize that, women can do any job in any leadership position that a man can do. And it's so important to have their voice heard, and they need to be listened to and respected just as much as men are before we can ever see any kind of great change in society.
The kind of movement that we hope to bring definitely wouldn't be something that is overly aggressive or attacking men or even shaming
Right.
them. Like how you mentioned, how you even deal with haters, it can be applied to this in a sense where you're just trying to positively educate other people and bring like the positive message across rather than being like a negative thing. We're fighting because we love women and not because we hate men.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so the last question is a bonus question and it's just for you to think and reflect.
Okay.
How do you hope you'll change as a person in the future?
In the future. I hope that I will become even more educated, I think, on issues that people across the world face. I think it's easy for me to kind of get stuck in my own little world and look at the issues that I personally face and focus on those. And I really want to expand my worldview and to try and include all people across the world and to recognize all of the struggles that everybody is facing in their own individual lives, and to really educate myself in ways that I can better help those people and help issues that are issues that I might not personally face, but I know that other people are having to deal with every day. And let's see, how else do I want to change in the future? I hope that maybe someday I'll be like totally over any insecurities that I still face and that I still deal with, and that I'll just be so content and so happy with myself that I won't have any dark days that I still have all the time, that I'll just be so happy with life that there won't be as many bad days. I think that's probably what we all want.
Yeah, actually I definitely agree. It's an ongoing process. It's not something that's gonna happen overnight. It's not like this sudden epiphany that you might have, like, oh, I'm fine with everything. It's
Right.
like something that you have to constantly work through. And as time goes along, who knows, you might even find some other insecurity that you have and have to work through again.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's part of life. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
very
but
true.
I think also what you mentioned, it's not being selfish or anything, but definitely caring for your own, like your own wellness and your own health, mentally, emotionally, and physically. That's the most important thing that comes first before you
Right.
can actually go out and empower and help other people. Because
Right.
you have to be so strong and understand what you stand for before you can convince others of the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. Like, you can't let anything touch you, or you can't let your insecurities take over you. If not, how are you gonna fight? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. You have to
Okay.
find that confidence and that contentment within yourself to like empower yourself first, and then you can go out and empower other women and other people. Yeah, I think that's huge.
Okay. So I think that was the last question. I'm super glad to have had a good chat with you today.
Yeah,
And
me
I'm
too.
and thank you for responding to all the questions with such maturity and
Thank you.
insight. Like I think it's been quite a meaningful conversation that I think many girls will benefit from hearing. Yeah.
Awesome.
Actually, many girls and boys too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks so much.
Thank
So
you.
So that brings us to the end of the video. Did you guys enjoy it? Please let us know in the comments below. You can also share your experience or constructive criticism of the interview if you would like. Again, thanks so much for the support thus far, and we're so excited to post some amazing content in the future. So till the next interview, we'll see you guys soon. Bye!